welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to go ahead and try and install my fuel pressure regulator. I'm going to end up putting it in this corner over here, and basically how the setup's going to be is we're going to feed up and cross over here to this side of the rail on the LS, and then it's going to come down the rail and do the crossover like it does, and then it's going to come back, and then from here what it will do is it will 90 out and follow the firewall, and then it's going to plug into the side of the fuel pressure regulator right here, and then on the bottom of the fuel pressure regulator we're going to return it down into this stock return line. So I think it's the cleanest position. Some people have put it over here. I don't think I'm going to have much room since I have the big coolant catch can. So I think this is a great spot for it, and there's room for it there already. So I'm going to end up trying to drill it. So as you can see, I've already kind of taped it off, and I've marked where the bracket is going to end up going, and then I'm going to drill some small holes, and then with my drill bits, and then I'm going to try and screw it in with a self-tapping screw. So we're going to see how it goes, guys, and I'm going to take you along for the journey. Some other news: I went ahead and fixed my rear fog lights, so now they both work. This one was cracked actually a long time ago, so I just replaced it. It is a pain to do it. You have to remove the bumper to get the fog lights out. I went ahead and modded the plastic a little bit so I never have to take the bumper off again. But man, removing this bumper was a huge pain in the ass. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and set up, and see you guys in a second. I'm hoping this is a decent angle. I got my baby drill bit here, I got my drill, and I'm going to go ahead and start the holes. So we'll see what happens. Alright guys, so that's about where I'm going to put it. I just need to tighten up the basically the screws on it and make sure it's tight. But the reason I'm not going to fully install it today is because I need to go get like a 90, because I don't want this to go right against the wall. I want to do a 90 out. On top of that, I need to tighten the orb port on this side. I need to tighten the bottom port. I need to tighten the side port, and I need to tighten the fuel pressure gauge. This is more of just like a mock-up to see how I wanted it, and it's going to be good. So you can see down there, I hope you can, how there's tons of room there for a return line to come out. What I would do is I would hook the return line up first. I would do a nice clamp on it, and then is when I would start to put everything on. So you can see it's going to be able to feed down here underneath. The plan is to bring it out from underneath here and have it go into the return down there once all that gets tightened up. So I'm glad I have this here. I might put a washer or something behind it to put a little bit more tension on the bracket, but for the most part I like the position. It's going to clear the hood. We can adjust the pressure on it, and I'm going to be able to feed it perfectly fine through here. I'm going to be able to feed it from the bottom. I do have some bad news, however. So being new to the LS world, I wasn't aware that depending on what cranks people use for certain builds will depend on if you could use a flywheel or a certain flywheel, or if it has to be a flex plate. So that sounds kind of vague, so let me explain a little bit more. When I went and picked up my built LS1, I was aware that it had come out of like a WS6 that had a TH400 behind it, which is basically an automatic transmission. What I wasn't aware of is when they built the motor, they used an early large flanged crankshaft. So what that means is in like 98, 99, before GM kind of standardized across all the LS platforms with the crankshafts, there was a year where the end of the crankshaft, the part that the flywheel or the flex plate attaches to, is larger. The LS1, the LS2, the LS6, and the newer generation truck style LSs, they have a smaller one. So if you're example, if this was a crankshaft, because the motor is over at my mom's house, so if this was a crankshaft and this is where we would attach the flywheel to, on the LS style ones, like the performance ones, like the LS1, LS2, LS6, and newer style, the crankshaft flange that you bolt the flywheel to only protrudes out a very small amount. Okay, unfortunately, the crankshaft I have protrudes out about 0.400 thousandths or 0.400 millimeters. I can't remember, but it's basically thick. It's like a thick crankshaft. So what does that mean? What that means is I can't bolt my T56 transmission up to it. I can't bolt any manual transmission up to it that I know of right now. So doing a little bit of research, and I gotta wait till Monday so I can call some, drivetrain shops and some LS build shops and ask, what am I gonna do? What options are me? What I've seen on the forum is go with an LT1 transmission. I really don't want to do that. The T56 is stronger. The LS1 T56 is stronger. I can maybe swap the input shaft and the faceplate out of an LT1 T56 into an LS1 T56, but I'm not sure. And what's that cost? Is it $400 or $500? There may be an adapter plate or a custom billet flywheel that will allow me to run this crank. And then the final one, which everyone is suggesting, is a swap in a new crankshaft. I basically go and find an LS1 replacement, like from Texas Speed or something like that, with the 3.662 and the 24 tooth like trigger wheel or whatever it's called. I'm still a little bit new to the LS terms, but yeah, basically different transmission, maybe a custom flywheel, or swap the crankshaft. Now, I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm going to try and look for the easiest, cheapest route. Right now, the smart money would probably be to go buy a crankshaft for like $400 or $500. Swap it in, have it rebalanced, make sure all the bearings are good, which they should be, or maybe put in new bearings, and then button everything back up. But what that means is I got to completely blow apart the LS. I got to take it all apart. And I really didn't want to do that. I was hoping I could just put a clutch on it and we could start the swap, but you get 2 steps ahead, get a couple steps back. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to figure out my options on Monday. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do now. I don't know if I want to invest all that. Also, with everything going around with this whole pandemic and stuff, I want to try and also be smart about money and make sure that if something does happen, I'm not overextended, So we'll see. But I wanted to at least show you what I got going on with the fuel. Also, this is officially bolted in. The eccentric camber bolts are in, so the lower arms are in. I'm just waiting on, and then you can see the bump steer kit I've started to install. I am just waiting on a couple bolts to arrive and some washers, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the steering rack onto the knuckle. So this will be done soon, and then I'll reattach the steering shaft. So little progress here and there. I'm honestly super bummed about my current motor. I mean, I could swap and just do a TH400 in this car, but I really didn't buy this car to have an automatic. I bought this car to do a T56 manual, so I need to figure out what my options are, and maybe places like Tick Performance or Texas Speed can guide me in the right direction. But yeah, guys, that's the update for now. It's probably super long-winded. Sorry to keep you guys going. Oh, also, if you guys didn't know, I did buy a carbon hood. I have it over here to the side. I really was gonna need something to help with venting because of all the heat I'm gonna produce. But yeah, those are the current updates, guys, and I just wanted to let you know. So stay tuned, more videos to come.